It's just taking a minute to go live on Facebook.
It says at my side, we are live.
We are live. Yes. Hello, everybody. We are here today in Sisters Rocking Courage. My name is Barbara Bolton Schreiber, and I started this organization, this group, for women that are trauma survivors that really want to create a business that they love, that they want to spread hope, make an impact, and achieve financial independence. And the reason they did it is because so many of us women in this with these entrepreneurial dreams find ourselves doing this by ourselves. And it is such a challenge. And today we're going to talk with Dr. Elke Wagner from Germany, and we're going to talk with her about the challenges that she's had with her entrepreneurial journey too, her challenges, where she found the courage to stand out. Elke, would you like to introduce yourself to us? Tell us a little bit or a lot about who you are.
This is a very brave introduction. Thanks a lot, Barbara. Thanks a lot that I can be here today with you.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, it's not easy if someone asked me for my life path, because it's really a long journey to the place where I'm today. So so my parents, they are born in the Second World War. And we would say in Germany, we would say they were very simple people. So I don't come from a high educated family. So my father, he was a craftsman, he was painting houses, and my mother, she was a housewife. And my father, he was always mixing colors in our house for his customers and for our own house. And I was looking as a child, I was watching him when he added some black or yellow or to find really the right color. I really loved that. Mm-hmm. And my mother, she was also very like handicrafting. She always was sewing, stitching, and so I always saw them doing something. And myself, I always had as a child enough colors and paper. I didn't have many things to play, but I always had these pieces to do something creative. Mm-hmm. So this was really a good start for someone who loves to be creative. And because of this background, I didn't really follow my path to art and design. I think it was always in my heart, because I always loved to do art, and we're reading about a lot of artists and all that. But normally you just don't become an artist in such a family where I'm coming from. And I told you about that earlier. My best lessons in school, they were always mathematics and art. Mm-hmm. So, and even I loved the nature, because we lived, when I was a small child, we lived on the countryside. And so my first studying, in fact, was agriculture. In agriculture, I went to plant breeding.
Yeah, plant breeding.
Yes.
What do you do with plant breeding in agriculture? Like
it's just like how to grow maize, how to grow wheat. What's the best way to do that? Or tomatoes, and what to add that they grow good, and to breed them, to do new breedings and all these things. Even I choose the topics of tropic and subtropical area. I always like to learn about other countries. I love that.
Yeah.
And it was a great community of people, because no one studies agriculture to become a rich person. This were all people who loved nature and who loved to be outdoor, and it was a great community, really.
So that's where you got the piece where you know that you love nature because of what you do now. You picked up the nature piece, you have the color piece. And so then how did you get to the math part?
This was like I said, I already liked it in school.
Yeah.
And in fact, at the end of my studying, I worked already as student. I was teaching other students some statistics and mathematics. I got their student job. And so I came to this Institute of Biometry and Statistics. And I did there also some courses. And so it was for me the easiest way in the first place to get a paid job. I was,
Sure.
After studying, I accepted a work, how do you say, as a scientific person at the institute. And this was enough money to do my doctorate and just to pay my living.
Right.
So in fact, I did then a doctorate in statistics.
Okay, so I'm a math person, but oh, look, there's Wolfgang. He's joining us again. I'm a math person, so help me understand a little bit more about the biometrics and the statistics that you were doing, because I know we've talked about what your doctorate degree was in, and it's a little bit above my head. Yeah, so talk a little bit about what you were doing, because you said that you were teaching and you had students working with you. What were you studying? Because it's fascinating.
During the university or what?
During university.
I worked about software for gene mapping, in fact. Because of that, I also stayed 3 months in Salt Lake City at the university. I had a scholarship, and they were working on human genetics, on gene mapping.
Right.
So this was the time where they just started to make all these genome maps. And it was a very interesting time. And I learned a lot, but I always had the feeling this is not what I want to do until the end of my life.
Right.
There was never really my heart. I liked it and it was fine, but I was never really excited about it.
Yeah, so now you have your doctor's degree doing fascinating work. You've got the agricultural piece, you have the color piece, you've traveled all 7 continents. And so what do you do next?
Yeah, it's in fact, I think I always had a very good feeling for myself, or I was feeling there's something missing in all that. So even in the last phases of my doctorate, I was really looking around, what can I do? And it was this time we didn't have internet, you know.
Right, it was before the internet.
Couldn't get really easily information about a profession you perhaps would like. And you just couldn't go to the internet and get some information of a company. I really had to write a postcard to send it to a company to get information about that company. This is today incredible, I think.
Right, because we're talking, this was the early, was it the late 1980s, early 1990s?
Yes.
Yeah.
And but long story short, I heard about in that time a famous German who was coloring houses and huge industrial buildings. On the way to the airport in Frankfurt, I always saw one of his works. And I always liked it because he made these gray buildings. These gray buildings, they were starting in the 80s. He made them with colors, with beautiful colors, more soft colors, colors who fit to the nature. And I thought, wow, this is so great. This is the piece I would like to do, because it's also related to my father. And I always was thinking about architecture and color and that. And even there, long story short, in fact, really, I got a job in that field in Germany without any studying that. So I was only learning it by myself.
Right.
But I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And in Germany, we had a lot of renovation projects. You know, we have also these old historical buildings from all these different historical styles, and youth style and the other historical style, and even new buildings and of the German Democratic Republic after Union of Germany, there was
Right.
so much work
Right.
to color houses.
Mhm.
So I came into that, and I really loved that job. And because of that job, coloring the houses, I came to the ornament, in fact. Because I always, when there were like huge walls, I thought, oh, you can't only put there color. This is so, it's a waste place, wasted place.
Yeah.
And then I also saw all these beautiful old buildings, this youth style, and that, what beautiful ornaments they have. So I started to create like simple graphic designs, which is possible to paint to the wall without very high costs, because otherwise
Right.
people wouldn't do
Inexpensively.
that also. So I was thinking more about ornament in relation to the color.
So you ended up painting thousands of exteriors
Really.
of houses, of buildings, of commercial buildings. Yeah. Is there any place that people can go and see some of that work? I know you don't do that anymore, but it's just impressive.
Yeah, there are a lot of places around the whole Germany, you know.
Mhm.
Probably in the meantime, a lot of houses are already painted again.
Sure.
I don't know, because it's, in fact, it's some years ago.
Yeah.
But I really was developing so many color designs for whole areas. So this is really not so easy. If you have 10 to 20 buildings and you don't want that every building looks the same. So it's you have then to make a bigger concept and all that.
So there's a question with this that I want to stop and really just engage anybody who's watching right now, and even in the like when they're watching the replays. So here you are, Elke. The question becomes, when you know that there's something that you want to be doing and you don't know how to get there, do you have any tips? Because you've taken and created your own, like we can't, even today, if you go and research, there aren't a lot of people that are creating designs on the outsides of buildings that are painting them. So how do you find it in you to say, this is what I really want to do, and I'm going to keep figuring it out until I get there? Do you have any tips on that?
Oh, it's really not easy to say. I think it's always this piece where you say it's your intuition. How do you pronounce it?
Yes, intuition.
Intuition, and
Yeah.
really follow your heart, because when you see then something and it makes you excited, and it's there where you say it's this aha moment. I really had that in this piece with coloring the houses. I had that. When I realized that there's someone is doing that, I had that moment that, yes, that's what I would like to do too.
Yeah, it made you feel alive.
Yeah, and I had no plan at the beginning how to come to that, you know.
Right.
Even a lot of people, they told me crazy probably, because I had a doctorate in statistics and wanted to paint houses. But what I realized, they really, I always could really clearly say what I want to do. So they saw there's really something behind it. It's not just a crazy idea. So I never had problems that they didn't believe me that I will do that.
Yeah, so you had the same thing where people were well-meaning, were guiding you to say you can make more money if you stick to what your degree is in. But that wasn't what was important for you. It was important for you to follow what your heart was, where your heart was leading.
Yeah, this in fact is a point I really see, because when you, like me, when you do a lot of changes in your life path, and it's for others not really logical, these changes, it's not the normal way, it's not normal to just do something else, and perhaps for others it's completely different than that what you did before. Of course, there are always people, even people who love you and like you, that they tell you about something not so nice, or say, don't do that, or why are you doing that, or are you crazy, or these things. And I think every people who's in that way like me knows that.
Sure, it's people that are well-meaning that are looking, they think that they're looking out and caring for you. But when we know that there's something that's in our heart that we need to share, it's those steps. So you took the first step and knew that you wanted to paint buildings. Once you took that step, then more opened up, because now you're talking about how you could bring the math and the color into it. And I see behind you, there's some of your examples of the ornamental work that you did. And I love how you looked at, so the next problem is you can't just paint every big, huge wall one solid color. What are we going to bring in? So you looked at it as the next question. So your next question was, how do you loved the ornamentals and how do you bring that into the painting? So what were the steps? Because your ornamental work is extremely detailed and magnificent, and it's one of a kind. So what were the next steps that you did?
I just have to think about what I realized, in during this piece of doing design with this coloring the houses, there helped me, in fact, my education background from the statistics and all that, because I really had a very good education in computer already. Okay. So it was very easy for me to go into graphic design with computer. What was during that time, also it was beginning of the 90s, it was really not so usual. At the universities, a lot of students didn't have really computer graphic courses.
Right.
So I had that piece, but I realized it's not enough for me just to learn a new version of a program, just an update. After nearly 6 years in that industry, I realized I have to do more. I always like to learn and to improve. It's just always to improve yourself, knowing your possibilities. And then I was thinking about what could I study to get a better knowing about things. Because just changing the company in house coloring would bring really nothing new for me. So I came to the place. I went to study in Hanover, in the University of Applied Science, and started with product design and specialized in textile design, because they gave me the possibility to work on ornament. So this was always in my head, so that I can specialize more in that theme, because I was so interested in that. And even also, a long story short, because of different projects at the university, I came to the theme, to the wallpaper. So I did some photographs and put them together. I started to make these symmetry designs. I don't know, I can't really say how it started. It just started. It came out, And then also in one of the courses, I learned about these mathematics, these algorithms, that there was an institute at the Technical University in Dresden who created this beautiful mathematical graphics, these algorithms I use in some of my designs. And I contacted them, and they gave me their mathematics, like these files I can use. And when I worked with them, so all came together. So I realized I got them all as a very small file, as a very small picture. And I saw that they are so fine and complex. And even when I was thinking about this wallpaper, I thought, wow, they have to be huge to show really their beauty. They have to be huge, these algorithms. So I started to make some designs with them and to make them really huge. And so it came one to the other, and it all became more complex. And
do you have that do you have that piece of artwork nearby that did all of the mathematical that you created the colors with?
What do you mean?
The one you have a piece, it's like a square that you did for one of the for I think it's the one that you were just talking about, that you did the mathematics, or you converted the mathematic into a colorful piece.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it's this
Yeah.
one. I can
Yeah.
pick it up.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
This one, for example, but it's too small right now. You don't
Right.
see really the design, but
Mm-hmm.
the stars are mathematical graphic. These are algorithms. So in only this star, you can put it on the whole house. It's
Mm-hmm.
such a fine, intricate design.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's just amazing. So you went back and you got another degree so you could learn more about product design and textile work. And then you ended up, there's a couple of things that, because you're an internationally award-winning designer. So you've gotten awards in Shanghai. You received the Red Dot Award. You also were involved with product design for an electric motorcycle.
yes. No, how do you say electro cargo bike? Electro cargo bike.
Cargo bike. Okay. Mm-hmm. So how, like, each of these, Elke, is just one more step in your journey. And as you take a step, you get more clarity, and then you move on to doing what's even more in your heart, right?
This is right, but I wouldn't say really that it was always really with clarity, you know.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
think, yeah, I think the clarity, in fact, comes more like the last year. It becomes more the really shortly, because I always were like collecting the things I really love to do, and
Mm-hmm.
I just had to do. It was never a question. I always was feeling I just have to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what has changed for you in the last year then?
In the last year, I think it was that in fact, like Corona, for me, it was really great. It was really a good piece,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like the typical way you say, then you got again like a hit, you go down,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to think, what am I doing now? I know I'm really very good. I have to step out. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And this really helped me to go out of my box. And I always also was thinking to go more international, you know. The
Right.
German market I see is for me too small. So this really helped me to really work on that even stronger.
Well, because you also had a storefront. You have a store that people can come into to buy your paperies.
Yeah, it's like handcrafted postcards,
Mm-hmm.
so handcrafted paperworks.
Yeah, wedding invitations and things like that. So when Corona came through, that really affected the walk-in customers that you had.
Yeah.
And so again, it's one of those opportunities to say, okay, how can I be more international? And what are ways that I can connect with other entrepreneurs who are also on the same journey? Because isn't that where the clarity has come also for you, as you found different groups of women, men and women, because yours isn't just women, but different groups of men and women who are on a similar journey?
This is really advice. As long as you give advice, this is really one I would give.
Mm-hmm.
Look for your tribe, look for your people, because this is so helpful. The people you can talk about your dreams, your vision, and for them it's so easy to understand. And it's not that they say you're crazy when you have something new in the head, or just want to try out something new. So you have to find the right people for you and the thing you want to do.
Well, and it's interesting, Elka, because yours is so specific. to creating big, beautiful artwork. So you love to take an entire wall and create. I love how you talk about instead of having a painting that has a frame around it, you put it completely on the entire wall and run it floor to ceiling. And that's especially as I have goosebumps from that, especially as we talk about more of us spending more time at home right now because of what's going on with that bug, with the virus. Like really taking your artwork and making it be a part of you and a piece of you that brings joy into your house. So with you being so specific in what you do, it's not like you're looking for other entrepreneurs that are doing the same thing in the details. We're doing the same thing in following our dream and pursuing and working through the peaks and the valleys that come sometimes, because what do we do? Like when we get together, there's times where we're having a challenge, and somebody else who thinks similar to us can help us through that challenge so we don't get stuck there.
Yes, these are all women who have their complex life path and looking really for their hardcore business, from the business what's coming from the heart.
Right.
No one else really will have the same business. It's not like like selling a wallpaper. It's not like just giving, like you, it's not like just giving business advices and say, oh, you have to have blah, 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 blah. Your website has to have blah, 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 blah. And, then first year you have to make so much money. Next year you have to make that. And so this normal business consulting, this is also different.
It is. So there's a piece of it when we are all so specific that we're doing what's in our heart. None of us are competing with each other, but we're all helping each other, encouraging each other to go to that next step. And I will ask again for anybody who's watching, like, what questions do you have? Post them in the comments below, because this is oftentimes we say, you know what, it's going to be too hard. And what you and I know from this side of it, it was much harder to live not following what was in our heart, right? Like when we were trying to fit in for what others wanted or for what we thought was safe, that actually ended up being a lot harder than, even though we still have challenges. That's not to say that this is easy street, but yeah, there's a piece of it. Where do you find your courage now, Elke, for when you want to stand out? Like, because it can be challenging. So, we can talk about, like you say, build your tribe. Are there any other areas that help you be courageous on those days that are harder?
How do you mean that?
So let's say, because you and I have had some conversations, what do you do? I love, are there any habits that you do to get yourself centered again and know that you're on the right path? Because we still have doubts that come up, right? But I can say one of the things is that we're moving forward. We can talk about your masterclass that you're putting together to teach people. This is so exciting that you can teach people design, both from the color and from the specific pieces. So we can co-create with you wallpaper that would go into our own homes. So I think that's another step when we talk about, like, how do we get through the hard times, is we have a vision for what's next.
That's really the point. You never, you need your vision. This really has to be clear.
Yeah.
And this really helps. And it's really like, I don't know, as the vision as clear as she is, then it's also some fun to do it. Of course, I really have to stop a lot of times myself to go too far ahead. It's always this, stay in the step you're in. This is really also good advice, because otherwise you're thinking about too many problems. And then you think, oh my goodness, how do I find a solution for that? But yeah, perhaps a very important piece is to trust this path. The solution will come. We really can trust. And this I got from you. You say the sentence, life happens for you. Life doesn't happen against you. And this is so true. And I see, so even if something happens what I don't like, then right now I change my viewpoint. Then I think, okay, what does this tell to me?
Mm-hmm.
So what can I learn out of that?
You just said something really powerful, Elke, when you said, trust the process, trust that it will come to you. Because when we do that, then we can let some of the worries just go away. Because if we trust that we're heading in the direction that's right for us, then more will come.
And in fact, I always also realize this in like direct do-it-yourself creative processes. Sometimes something went wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or like you get some choice on something, but at the end, and then you see, oh my goodness, this looks great. What happened right now? And you always have to use your creative mind. If something goes wrong,
Oh, I like that.
then step back and look at it. Perhaps it's a better solution after all than you ever have thought. I realize that a lot
Absolutely.
of times because you're always in your brain and in your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So if things goes another way, why not look at that? Perhaps it's the better way.
That is brilliant. Why not look at if something goes another way that you didn't expect? And if you're thinking that you're trusting the process, changing your perspective to say, how can this be happening for me? Yeah.
And do you know what? I just remember the time when I was looking for a job or that. So they always were teaching people who are looking for a job, like, oh, then they ask you where you want to be in 5 years, where you want to be in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I always said, oh my God, I hope they don't ask me that. How shall I say, to have this clear path, to really know exactly what I want to do in 5 or 10 years. Even now, I couldn't really say it because I always felt like it tightens me up, it doesn't make me free.
Mm-hmm. Because we're still finding our way.
Yeah, and if I it's right now, from my position right now, I could say in 5 years, in 10 years. But if I really want to stick to that, from my position right now, this would be crazy, because even like today, I learned something new. Why should I stick to the same thing?
Sure. But there's a whole piece of where you just keep taking one step at a time. And you said stay in the step that you're in, because that will lead to. We can know what our plan is, but still have the flexibility to know that one of the things I say is there's not one way for everybody, and there's not one way for anyone. So like, even though we know the path we're on right now, a year from now, our life may be very different than we thought it was going to be. But if we're trusting the process, it will be greater than we ever imagined. Because if we look back to our life, what my life was a year ago, this isn't what I expected that it would be. But I'm so grateful that it is what it is. And then I'll also say, because you and I have a similar situation, when we start following our heart, we have family. So you have a husband and 2 girls, and you're also creating this dream that you're bringing to life. And doesn't it make you a better person? Doesn't it make you a better wife and a better mother to be able to do this part of your life and at the same time be there for them? It changes how you show up.
I definitely think so. And even like my daughters, they are 14 and 16. I always try to live in the way I want they to live. So I can tell them so many things about life, but if I don't live it myself, doesn't make sense. So what's very important for me, what I want to show them, is really to believe to themselves and to follow their heart. It doesn't matter what anyone else say, even if I say, oh, you want to do that. It's their life and their dreams, and they have to follow them.
We are getting some questions coming in, Elke. One of the questions from Brenny is, did you also go into sacred geometry? Do you know that?
Into what?
Sacred geometry. That might be something we need to look up and after we get through it. That's a great question.
What is it, in fact? I don't know the word, sorry.
Sacred geometry. I'm not sure. So, hey, we were just, the timing is perfect. We were just talking about when you learn new things and go in new directions. So that's amazing. Kristen is saying that it's so awesome that you followed your heart, such an example of using all of your gifts. So it's just, yeah, and that's what this conversation is about.
I don't know why, but in fact, this was for me always not a question, or I always followed the things I wanted to do. I had always a good feeling for myself, what I like and what I not like. And yeah, and if you do something what you not like, then you are unhappy. And
Right.
people become sick. They simply become sick if they always do things they don't like.
Absolutely. So here's another piece of encouragement. Multi-passionate people. Do you consider yourself a multi-passionate person, Elke? Multi-passionate. Yeah. So if we have multiple passions, we never have a straight path. I gotta say, Kristen, we agree with that one for sure. And we've got Leslie coming in from the UK. Brenny is watching from Switzerland. So Kristen wants to know, are your designs considered fractal art? That I am aware of.
This is in fact, I always again and again, some people ask that, but they don't have to do anything with fractal art, in fact.
They don't, but it's similar and different. And that's what Brenny is saying that, yeah, go ahead.
It's perhaps because, in fact, in this fractal art, it's a way mathematics comes to a beautiful piece, you know. This is the point.
Yeah.
Because normally there are so many mathematics and no one ever will see it, you know. One of my best friends here, she's a professor in mathematics, and she's doing these very abstract things. I don't even know what she really is doing. So these are normally some pieces you don't see.
I would love for all of you to get together at a weekend, like a symposium, and I'd love to see all of your work in the same environment. I think it would be amazing.
Yes, that would be a great idea. This is true.
So I think what Brenny's talking about with the sacred geometry, she said it's about the fundamental universal geometry. I don't
The
know.
front?
This is the sacred geometry that she was talking about. Freddie is very excited. We might have to do another conversation, a courageous conversation where we bring more artists to the table so we can just really talk about all of the different sides of this. It would be amazing. Yeah. So we need anybody out there that does fractal work, please let us know, drop a comment, because then we can start to have a larger conversation. I've got some goosebumps going on with this.
Yeah, we can do a group about these themes.
So Brenny's saying like the Fibonacci spiral, the flower of life, and so on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we definitely need to have another conversation on this. So as you're taking these steps, Elke, for the next steps, what has you moving forward now? Because you feel like you're moving forward more quickly than you were maybe 2 years ago. Is that true?
Yes. In fact, this is really true. And it's a good question. Perhaps it's because I'm more and more really following this, what is probably meant for me, you know. Oh, I'm becoming this is it's because even during the last year and last half year there came so many things to me,
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized even the last month is that piece, what I never had in my head before. I was like the scientific type, and I looked at my creative world from the viewpoint of an artist, from the viewpoint as a designer.
Mm-hmm.
But what now came together is also this spiritual viewpoint.
The spiritual viewpoint.
And this healing power of creativity. Yeah, there's so many already in it. We could do another summit about that.
About the healing power of creativity. That is so true. I have goosebumps. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I also see, also because I'm not anymore like 20, I have so many life experience and with people and traveling around all the countries. And so I think I see, I did some advisement in statistics.
Mm-hmm.
This is not so far away. And I see very well what you need, what you makes happy,
Mm-hmm.
what color or what kind of design.
Right.
When I talk to you, and I know how to get it out of you.
Right.
What makes you happy, and this is something I didn't realize before. So this only came so last time to me. And when I talk now to people about that and what I can do for them, I'm talking to it from a different way. It's not the normal product way. It's not the way I'm selling you a wallpaper.
Right.
I'm selling more. It's a completely bundle. And this is my goal with the masterclass, of course. And then I see how excited the people are, and they are already joyful and think, oh yes, my God, I want to have it.
Right. So you're connecting heart to heart now, and you have proof of that because one of your most recent clients, you have a picture of her hugging her wallpaper in the front entryway of her home and saying how much she loves it, because what you did was you brought the beauty out of her. So when she walks into her home, she now sees how beautiful it is, and it all came from her.
Mm.
Yeah,
this is so nice for me, because this is, this is also something you can't pay with money. It makes me also happy. If I would do all that just to earn some money, I could have done that much more easier years ago. Mm-hmm. It's more. I want to leave a legacy and to bring more in the world than earning money.
Yeah, and Elke, we live in a world of so much abundance now that we can go and purchase. Most of us in the countries we live in can pretty much purchase what we want. So what we're really looking for now is that connection. Does somebody really see me? Are they hearing me? Do they listen to me? Do they get me? Right? Mm. And so what you're saying with what you do now is you understand the value in that and the value in them to be part of creating the world around them. And that's all you do is you partner with them to create the world that they want around them. That beauty, you have a great way of saying like that you bring huge beauty to the space to bring joy out of people. I just have so much goosebumps. This has been such a great conversation. We are actually, it went by so fast. So I guess what we have to do is just jump to what is next for you. Because I was going to say, I think we've already given people a lot of encouragement for, really connecting with the creativity piece in them. I can talk about as a trauma survivor, I think a fair amount of my creativity got squashed because there wasn't space for it. And so when you talk about creativity healing people, it's just so true, because the more we start to acknowledge that hidden part of ourselves, the more it starts to open up and come out and connect with others. And it's those heart-to-heart connections that change lives, that changes groups, communities, environments. We are living in a difficult time, but not when we make these heart-to-heart connections. So it's super cool. What's next for you, Elke? Do tell us.
Next for me is to really set this masterclass. It's not all clearly figured out, but I'm working on that with some beta clients to find out really what, it's the same process. I don't want to do something only from my viewpoint. I want to see what people need, what help I have to give them, and what is the best way of the creative process that they have their wall art. And
so what we will do is we'll go ahead and put a link in the comments below. So if you have a wall like I do that I was planning on painting, but now I'm thinking that we can create a wallpaper that will cover that gorgeous wall. We'll put a link below that you can connect with Elke and see what arrangements that she can make with you for you to be part of her first group of clients that are going through this with her. Years and years and years of experience. You are just so accomplished, Elke. I am just thrilled that you're able to bring this to people and really make the connection to folks, especially during such a difficult time. So they can find you on Elke's Design Talks Facebook group, and we'll put the link to that also. And then do you want to talk about your website? Is crossoverdesign.com.
Yes, and just write me an email. You'll find all on my website. It's easy to get in contact with me.
And I'm going to give the same advice every time. So some of what gets us moving forward is when we get around a group of women. For us, it doesn't always have to be women, but a group of women that can pour into us and that can show us a side that we don't always know. We tend to get stuck when we get in our heads. And next week, we're going to be talking with Kristen Leeser, and we're going to be talking about how overcoming mindsets and how to get unstuck, how to find the courage to think differently. So this is all part of the conversation. Last week, we spoke with Jody Newcomer, and we were talking about, when we wear so many hats, it really, Elke, you're here to tell us it's all possible. There is nothing that is in our heart that we shouldn't be taking one step towards.
And what I definitely can say, I don't think there's anyone else in the world who's really doing that what I'm doing. And this is the piece, because it's my way. It's simply my way.
It is. Couldn't say it any better. That's a great way to end. When you're doing it your way, you know that it's what you're supposed to be doing, and there is no competition. We can all hang out together and support each other.
And support us.
Yes. Do you have anything that you would like to say to your German friends who are watching as we say goodbye?
Also, wenn ihr aus Deutschland zugeguckt habt, dann freue ich mich total und würde mich auch freuen, ihr könnt auch ruhig einen deutschen Kommentar unter dieses Interview schreiben. Dann schaue ich mal, wer so alles zugeschaut hat. Bis zum nächsten Mal.
That's wonderful. And I know Brenny's on, and she's definitely going to understand that too. Elke, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time for us to hang out together. This has been such a gift for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much to
and
you.
For everybody who watched, Kristen, Leslie, we've got a bunch. There's Tammy is also watching. There's so many people. Put comments below, join the conversation. If you haven't followed or liked Sisters Rocking Courage, please do so you can stay in the loop of more conversations like this. Thank you. Bless you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes,
until next
bye.
time. Bye-bye.